4 picks against Grossman and 2 fumbles. What do you see about the Bears that would shut them down that way?
No, we just the Bears are what we thought they were. They're what we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. They are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook. That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
God rest his soul. Denny Green talking about the Bears. The team the New York Giants will be facing today at 1 o'clock at MetLife Stadium. Week number 13 of the 2018 National Football League season. Good morning. I am the Frattman. 10 years of coming up here on Sunday mornings and talking the NFL, talking the G-men, talking the boneheads in the NFL media. And I got to tell you, I've loved every minute of it. This is the best 1 hour of my week, every single week. And a big-time thank you to all of you who have been supporting this radio show for as long as you have. You know, coming up here on Sunday mornings and doing this for 1 hour means a whole heck of a lot to me. My love of football, my love of radio. I mean, I've been in love with radio since I was a kid, man. 5 years old, up in my bedroom, pretending that I was broadcasting throughout the neighborhood and rocking out with the Stones and Aerosmith. And so they're about equal. My love of football and my love of music and my love of radio, all kind of equal. I really have no idea how many of you are listening to this show on a regular basis, but quite frankly, it doesn't even matter. Ratings can't be trusted these days, I believe, so you can't really put a lot of stock in that. Some people think I'm out of my mind for still doing this for 10 years now, but I am happy to be here, and I would much rather have someone to talk to for this hour. And that person is Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider. Good morning to you, fellow Giants fan.
Good morning, buddy. How are you, man?
Yeah, buddy. The Bears.
Yeah, I love that clip of Denny Green, and you almost wish you could ask him what did you mean? Because I still don't know. The Bears are what they thought they were, but it was classic.
Yeah, it was. It's right there with Jim Mora and the playoffs thing. Those are the two right there, man.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, if you want to crown their ass, go ahead and crown their ass, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that was an epic rant.
Yeah, there's you'd have to throw a little bit of the term meltdown in there, I think.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of meltdowns.
Oh.
Uh-huh. Last Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You called it.
Well, I mean, it's easy to call, Jerry Foley. It's not like I went out on a limb, you know?
Yeah. I for some reason, I thought this was a little different. It started off differently.
Oh, it certainly did.
And then by the end, they did exactly what they are. What they thought we were. They are what we thought they were.
They are who we thought they were. Yes, right. Indeed. They are 3-8. They are what their record says. They had a 19-3 lead on the Philadelphia Eagles, and even knowing that the party bus would run out of gas last Sunday, because as you just mentioned, we called it on this show, or at least I did.
You did.
I was still pissed off because here's another loss to the Eagles, and here's another loss to the Eagles on a field goal as time runs out.
Yeah, and we'll get to it, but you blame the coaching was number one. The defense was terrible. And that interception before the half completely deflated the Giants. We talked about it in the locker room. So It was a whole new way to lose to the Eagles. I mean, I've never seen that before, where you have them on the ropes at home, and then you go into a shell, forget who you are, and that's that.
I really, truly believe that you are at the point now where you can kind of read my mind because you bring things up right before I am about to mention that. And in this case, you and I don't always agree, of course, and that's fine. That makes great radio, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Whether you agree or not, and so what? We don't always have to agree on everything, but I happen to have made a list here of what I think the 5 items are that helped the Giants lose that game.
Go ahead.
And some of these 5 items, by the way, are immersed in those 8 losses they have so far this year.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. But in order, this is my list. And again, if you disagree, you change the order of it, totally cool. Because I want to hear what you have to say, of course. But number 1 on my list for that loss last week is James Betcher and the defense.
Yeah, I make the analogy that I give the defense not too much credit. I don't give them enough blame, because it's like when you have kids and you have different expectations for them. Like one kid, you're like, oh, that kid's going to Harvard. Then the other one, you're like, oh, my God, just please graduate high school. And I don't have that case, but I know parents who do. I think with the defense, I expect nothing, so that when they give me nothing, it's exactly what I expected. But I think you're right. Defense is number 1. I agree with you.
Yeah, and I am comparing this defense to the 1 year Bill Sheridan was here coaching the New York Giants defense.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah. One and done for him, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah. Number 2 on that list, out of the top 5, reasons for the loss against the Eagles last Sunday, Pat Shurmur.
Yep, 100% agree. And to get away from Barkley in the second half. Now, a couple of people made the point that they had 18 plays in the second half, that they couldn't go back to the run. But they had 18 plays because he kept trying to pass and getting sacked, and the line was breaking down. The fact that he didn't ride Barkley in the second half was absolutely stupid.
You and I will talk in depth about all of this in the third segment, of course. Number 3 on the list, Eli Manning.
Yep, 100% agree.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So if you asked me, I would say that, yes, Eli Manning contributed to the issues that brought about a 25-22 final, but certainly not at the top of the list.
No.
Here's number 4. One play. Corey Coleman.
The drop.
The drop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, and we always talk about it, Steve, this team can't recover from adversity, and that play was representative of that. They were down, they needed a spark, and he dropped a perfect pass right in his arms.
Yes, sir.
That would have been a first down.
Yes, sir. Number 5 on the list, the fact that Evan Ingram was out.
Yeah, because he would have murdered them. You saw what Red Ellison was doing. He tweaked his hamstring in pregame warm-ups, and that was it.
Ugh. Man,
I didn't even think of that one. That's a good one. I had the first 3, and then you said Coleman. That's a great point, because that would have been a first down, and he would add some momentum.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
I'll give you one more.
Yeah.
The 3rd and 18 timeout, where the next play we threw a 1-yard pass in the flat that lost 2 yards.
Yeah, that's on the list. We got to squeeze. That's 4A or 3B or it's in there for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens today at 1 o'clock. I don't know what to think of this game. By the way, I'm getting conflicting reports. Have you heard what the weather forecast is supposed to be like for this kickoff?
It's supposed to stop raining by now, but it's raining here in central Jersey. So
same here.
By the time the game starts, supposedly it's supposed to stop. But it was also supposed to rain yesterday, and it didn't. So you just wonder, earlier in the day. So you just wonder if the front came through later. Not much of a meteorologist, but I'm guessing here.
Yeah. Well, if it's going to be warm, certainly for December. It's supposed to hit near 50 actually, it's supposed to be in the mid-50s today.
Yeah, maybe Khalil Mack will be too hot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I've got something funny to say about Khalil Mack and who he's going to be going up against today. That's coming up on the show here. Also coming up on GameFaceRadio, in-your-face matchups. Jerry and I will cover briefly the top 3 matchups for today. We'll talk G-Men in the third segment, and the Fennelly Fracas. John Fennelly will be here as well. Bonehead Football Media Matters coming up here in just a few moments. It is Game Face Radio, CBS Sports Radio, 940 WINE on Classic AM in New York and Connecticut. Those of you listening all over the globe, thank you very much. 940sportsradio.com. We are here Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock Eastern. Our Twitter handle is at CBS GameFace. And, of course, at Giant, is it Giant Insider or Giants
at
Insider?
Giant Insider,
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know why I forget. I forget that kind of stuff when I'm on the air. When I'm off the air, I don't forget it at all. So
No, you're good.
Yeah. All right, let's do NFL Hap, shall we?
Yep.
All right, there's a lot of stuff going on with football players right now, and the law, which I'm sure you've heard about.
Oof.
Crazy, crazy stuff. Former defensive tackle Nick Fairley just arrested for pointing a gun at somebody or threatening somebody with a gun. I don't know all the details. But I got to tell you, man, you hear all this stuff about concussions all the time in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think the NFL needs to institute something to help football players after they retire in terms of helping them manage their finances, keeping their head on straight, because it's not an easy thing to be in the spotlight and have everybody cheering and hollering for you, and then once you retire, that all goes away, man.
Well, that was Harry Carson's speech at the Hall of Fame years ago. That's basically what he said. The NFL doesn't do enough post-retirement for those players.
That's right. So, I mean, it's okay. All right, you want to take care of your body, you want to take care of the brain and all that during play, but you need to help these players somehow afterwards, not just with insurance policies, but just help them with a number of different things.
Yep.
So, fantasy football operators and owners, Packers wide receiver Randall Cobb will be playing today, as will Rams cornerback Aqib Talib. The guy who is not playing today, Jerry, is the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, Mitch Trubisky. But his backup, Chase Daniel, looked pretty good last week. So
yeah, we do so well against backups. They could put in anybody. They could get Jeff Rutledge out of retirement, and we would struggle.
Isn't it amazing how the Giants just, for years, here comes the backup, we're in trouble now.
Well, everybody talks about the Joe Theismann game. Giants lost that game. Joey Schrader came in and beat him.
Yeah.
So they've been doing it for years against backups.
It really is an enigma that is just, you have to laugh at it now, man.
I'd go cry.
Oh. Week 13 of the NFL season will be underway this afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern. We're going to talk Giants and Bears and more Giants and Eagles in the third segment. The Boneheads in the NFL media are coming up next. What do we got going on here? All right, we got some weird stuff happening here. Let's figure this out. There we go. We wanted to jam out with some Motley Crue, and we're doing it. Game Face Radio, CBS Sports Radio. Jerry Foley and the Frattman back in a moment.
The Boneheads in the NFL media would hide under their puny desks if we invited them on this show.
But we won't invite them.
Game Face Radio is now in progress.
Yeah, what are you, deaf and stupid? I said no.
Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock Eastern, 1 hour. A 4-hour radio show crammed into 1 hour. And a shout out to our friends at Green Bubbles Car Spa. They are here in Brookfield, Danbury, Connecticut, located at the Four Corners, right behind the mobile gas station. All right, Jerry Foley, I actually tried to streamline my items here for Bonehead Football Media Matters this morning, so we can talk more football here, because there's lots to talk about when it comes to the G-Men, even though it's a season lost, and they're sitting at 3-8, and of course we won't be seeing them in the playoffs once again. It feels like 20 years in a row now, but we'll be talking G-Men in the following segment. Did you know, Jerry, that it is baseball season?
It always is. On FAN, absolutely. That's all we talk about.
It's both radio stations for most of the week, every time I tuned in, I'm hearing baseball.
It always is on FAN, and then on Michael K, he's a Yankee guy, so that's all they talk about.
I got to tell you, I'm telling you, man, when people come into New York to visit, if they're football fans and they find out where the two radio stations are to hear sports and they tune in, they got to be shaking their heads, man, thinking, what is going on in this city here where I'm hearing baseball all the freaking time in December?
And good luck hearing football in May or June, right? Outside of the draft.
Oh, forget. In fact, here's your breakdown. This is WFAN this past week, Monday through yesterday. 75% of the time you tune in, you're hearing commercials. Of course, because it's Christmas season and that's it, man. Over half of their hour is dedicated to running commercials, and New Yorkers and people in Jersey eat it up. They must love it.
There's no other explanation. Why you keep listening?
And then 80% of the content in December is baseball. 10% of the content of that 80 was New York Jets. 5% was basketball. 2% New York Giants. I heard the Giants once the entire week.
Yeah, maybe if you're lucky. And that was from 1 o'clock to 1:03.
I mean, it's funny now. It's in the funny category.
Has to be.
Oh, man. And I got to tell you, I'm going to take a lot of heat for this probably. And, it's amazing how our society now here in the USA is they're putting everything into categories. Okay, so I'm voting for him because he's a certain color. I don't care about any of his policies. I think because you're against his policies, it's because of his color. So everything is put into these strange little categories that are so incredibly ridiculous and false and unapplicable. But that's where we're at now. So I'm not talking about any particular category here when I say this, because I think there's just as many talented people in both categories. But when I hear a lot of these women in broadcasting, most of them are cut from the same cloth in so many ways. And they all come from the same broadcasting school, and they're trying to be broadcasters. And it's just, and specifically, I'm thinking of Maggie. You know, she fits this category of, well, she sounds like what a female in sports on the radio should sound like, so we're hiring her. Nothing else really matters. That's it. We're hiring her. And, of course, the people who do the hiring, they come from the broadcasting school of bandwagon hoppers. And that's why you have so many people who sound like they do on the radio or in any sports broadcasting field. So I just think it's pretty funny. I think 8 out of 10 of them stink because they're trying to be broadcasters. They're trying to be something they're not. And then the other 2 out of 10 are really, really good. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I think especially with that show, they just kind of took 3 people who were different in their own ways, kind of just threw it together and hoped for the best. I'm surprised it's still on the air, especially since, aside from all that, that they really, really seem to hate on a lot of the local teams.
Yeah.
And you have, like I said, you have a Jets fan, you have a Buffalo Bills fan, and then you have, I think, Carlin. I don't know what he is, if he's Eagles or Jets or what, but obviously no one talks about the Giants, but then there's even an element of rooting against the local teams, which I don't know why people still listen. So
it really is astonishing. I don't know. Masochists, maybe?
Who knows?
Something along those lines?
Or it's just something they're totally used to. They look at their, radio dial, and they have it on there. And
the radio dial.
Yeah. Because they exist.
I think maybe, 4% of the radio audience these days still has a dial?
Yeah, maybe. And I think that's high.
Yeah, I think it is high. Just like a lot of these people are. It's interesting. Of course, we said this in the opening segment. We were talking about the Giants and the reasons behind their loss to the Eagles. And I know you and I have a little bit of a different mindset, and which is fine when it comes to Eli Manning, and that's fine. We disagree respectfully, of course, unlike a lot of people in politics these days.
Yeah.
But
it's not that different, though, but go ahead.
Okay, well, you'll have the opportunity, of course, to delineate. Yeah. But I got to give kudos to Francesa because almost every time I hear him, he's defending Eli Manning.
Oh, he always does.
Yeah,
and so, he brings up good points. He's like, you're going to bring in someone else. This guy's he's been there for 15 years. He's consistent, even if he's consistent in his inconsistency.
Yes,
you know what you're getting from him. So if you're going to make a change, then you better be ready.
Yeah, and of course the 2-week winning streak the Giants had, all the Eli haters were underneath their desks hiding, and then as soon as they lose a game, boom, they're right back out again, man. And that's why Francesa was pounding on this again this week. So I got to give him kudos for that. But the guy, he really comes out with a bunch of crazy, boneheaded stuff.
He gets things wrong now, too.
He's getting things wrong a lot. He was talking about, I don't remember why the subject came up, but he made a comment this week while I was listening to him, and then I saw somebody in the New York Post brought it up in an article the following day, so I wasn't the only one that heard it, of course. But he was talking about the Giants getting rid of Jeremy Shockey when they did.
Oh, he's so wrong.
Yeah, and then he said, they got rid of Shockey, then they won 2 Super Bowls, and Shockey never came close to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. How do you not remember Shockey winning a Super Bowl with the New Orleans Saints in 2009 and catching a touchdown pass in that game?
Yeah, and technically he got a ring on the 2007 team. So,
yeah.
I mean, what's a shame is I do think it's an element of he's by himself doing the show. He's getting a little older, and I don't know if he's making things up, but he talked about Otis Anderson maybe a month ago, where he said that Parcells, after the 86 season, said, you want me to win it again, I'm going to get Otis Anderson. And then he went around George Young to do it. Well, wait a minute. They got Otis Anderson mid-season 86, so he won the Super Bowl with him.
Right.
And George Young had to make that trade because he was the general manager. So Francesa says some things sometimes where I think he's making up the story. Or he's remembering it as he wants to remember it. It's very weird. There's a whole Twitter account associated to his mistakes.
Well, but he's God, though, in the eyes of all of his fans and listeners and everything. So there's nothing he could get wrong. So he gets away with it.
Excuse me. And again, I think it's something that people are used to listening to, so they just keep it on and don't touch it.
Yeah. But all these other dweebs who cover the New York Giants here in the New York, New Jersey area, again, the 2-game winning streak against 2 horrible football teams, and they're talking about OBJ's quote and winning out and the division and the playoffs maybe, and, let's root for Dallas on Thanksgiving because it helps the Giants. And what a bunch of fools, man.
Well, I do root for Dallas because it helped the Giants, but now that ends. So I fall into one category. I didn't think they were going to win, obviously, but as long as there's hope, there's hope. And I just wanted meaningful football in December. I just thought, let's beat the Eagles. Then it gets interesting. Then it's like, wait, can we beat the Bears? Can we beat Washington? Can we beat Indianapolis? So it just would have gotten a lot more interesting. Now with the loss, it's, okay, we're back to reality. So
Bonehead NFL Media Matters.
All right, ESPN's Peter Rosenberg. ESPN, actually, radio, not television. I heard him reading a commercial on the air the other day, and we in the radio business call that copy.
Yeah.
And I tuned out immediately, and I'm thinking to myself, I will never buy that product.
Hey, by the way, did Rosenberg happen to comment on his Redskins picking up Reuben Foster? Do you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's the deal now with the whole Kareem Hunt thing. Everybody in the sports media is all high and mighty about every little thing that somebody might do wrong. But then when the spotlight is focused on them or something that they follow or care for a lot, they hide under their desks.
Well, and that's kind of like what I thought Boomer and Carton did years ago with Ray Rice. They were friends with Ray Rice, so they said, trust me, he's paid his debt. Like, whoa, wait a minute. You have daughters. The hypocrisy is sickening to me.
Yeah, that's the best. That's the key word. That's the word that I come up with in my head more than any other word, other than boneheads, is hypocrisy when talking about these people.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, here. We're going to run through this real quick because we want to go into the break and come back and talk G-Men in depth with Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider. This is GameFaceRadio, CBS Sports Radio, Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock Eastern. Thank you for joining us. The drooling from the fans and the NFL media started after the Cowboys beat the Redskins on Thanksgiving. You saw the drooling start. Now that they beat the New Orleans Saints,
forget it.
Oh, my. Yeah. Oh, my, it's everywhere. The playoff tickets and even the tickets for the Super Bowl, I think, are starting to be printed. They've already started printing them. The big question is now, who's the Dallas Cowboys going to face in the Super Bowl? Which team from the AFC?
Won't be the Chiefs now, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's weird because I thought it was a little refreshing to see defense being played for once, even though the refs were the same refs that did the Giants-Eagle game who stunk in both games and completely missed calls. And however, it was nice to see defense play, but the one thing that's going to hold Dallas back, it's two words, Dak Prescott.
Oh, no, Dak Prescott is the new Tony Romo, and he's currently, right now, he's on the front page, the index page. You pull up any of these football websites, and it's all Dak, baby.
Giant fans, the best thing that to happen to us this year will be if the Dallas Cowboys extend Dak Prescott and give him a lot of money, because he's a good athlete, but he does not have what it takes to win. Did you happen to see the throw he missed downfield?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's such a bad passer. He's so inaccurate. And they're going to give him a lot of money, and I love it. I hope they give him $150 million. I hope he sets the new standard for quarterback contracts in this sport.
This is the team that cries wolf every single year, but the media and their fans fall for it every year around this time. I have had friends emailing me gloating, and I'm like, really? Week 13, and you're already, that's it, you're set, right? These people actually believe now that tickets for the Super Bowl should be printed and the Dallas Cowboys logo should be on it from now.
They're insane.
From now.
They're insane.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to go on the road to either New Orleans or the Rams, even if they win in the first round, and they're not going to win that game. So it's still going to be New Orleans or Los Angeles in the Super Bowl, I think. And look, there's a distinct possibility, as much as I want to crawl into somewhere and hide, that the Eagles come back, right? They're playing Washington Monday night with Colt McCoy, and then they got Dallas next week.
Yeah.
If they win both of those, they're all of a sudden back in it. So it's not even a foregone conclusion they're going to win the division. They probably will, but if they do, how far are they going to go? They might win one round in the playoffs, maybe, and that's still a question mark, but they're not going to beat New Orleans again or the Rams.
Man. They beat the Saints, and I'm telling you, it was as if they won the Super Bowl, not just from the fans, but from the National Football League media. They're all coming out of the woodwork. You had Romo on a Football Life right after they beat the Saints, and they were running the promo for Romo for a Football Life on the NFL Network, I think every 5 minutes right after the game ended against the Saints. And then, of course, they had a Football Life on the entire Dallas team from the 1990s.
I was going to say, one thing I couldn't get over in that game was how pedestrian Drew Brees looked.
Oh, it's really unbelievable.
With a pass rush. And then you think, for all the Eli Manning haters, look at that. The mighty Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Who needs climate control and no wind, all of a sudden gets a little pressure. And the announcers were saying, where the hell was Drew Brees throwing that pass? So it happens to the best of them. If you have pressure, you can't succeed. So for the Eli Manning haters, this is what happens.
Oh, man, thank you for bringing that up. That's so timely.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Boomer Esiason on WFAN before the Cowboys-Saints game. Two great teams going up against each other tonight.
Yeah.
Really? Dallas at 6-5 classifies as a great team. Okay. I didn't know that, Jerry.
His producer's a Dallas fan, and the news guy, Recco's a Dallas fan. So
yeah, his idiot producer who is the screener when I called in one morning.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's arguing with me about Eli Manning and how he doesn't deserve this or that and all this other stuff. And I'm like, why are we doing this off the air, buddy? Why don't you let's take this on the air, and then we'll really make you shrink a little bit.
They've hated Eli Manning for years. They play the Andy Griffith theme when they have an interview of Manning in the background. It's complete disrespect, and it's New York. It's a New York radio station.
There you go. There you go. That's a great way right there to wrap up Bonehead Football Media Matters.
Yep.
I am the Frattman. He is Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider. This is Game Face. We're going to come back and talk G-Men and the Bears. It's just moments away. Hang on. Don't move. Don't even think about going anywhere.
Finally over. Dell's biggest Cyber Week ever is on. Save big on Cyber Week deals, plus get free shipping on everything. With massive deals on Dell computers with 8th Gen Intel Core processors, the hottest gaming gear, and top brand electronics like Google Smart Home, it's a sale you won't want to miss. Just call 800-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/CyberWeek. Call 800-BUY-DELL for more Cyber Week deals.
The Frattman, Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider. Great football music, exclusive New York Giant talk, Game Face style. 940sportsradio.com.
Hey, I've been on for 12 years and 2 rings. Now give me a break. I played hurt before, it's no big deal.
1 o'clock this afternoon at MetLife Stadium, the 3-8 Giants versus the 8-3 Bears. Hit it. Game Face Radio, CBS Sports Radio, 940 WINE, and all over the globe on 940sportsradio.com. Big time thanks for joining us. Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider, of course, is here with yours truly, the Frattman. Let's talk G-Men. Why don't we talk a little bit more about that Philadelphia game first before we talk the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, let's also bring up my dog dying last year, too, while we're at it. Sorry. Anyway. I didn't take it well, Steve.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was another frustrating loss, which is, again, every time the schedule comes out, what is it, April or May?
Yeah.
I look at the schedule. I try to see, okay, how many games are they going to win here? And the first thing I do is I find those 2 Philadelphia games, and I write down the letter L next to both of them.
Yeah, I'm Charlie Brown. The Giants are Lucy. I get fooled every time, and they pull the ball out from under me. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's it's because you just really you want them to win these games, and
this one they should have won. All signs pointed to a win, but oh well.
Listen, this game started out. I know the Giants had a pretty decent lead. It got to 19-3 at one point.
Yeah, it should have been 27-3.
Yes, it should have, and it started out in a very strange way. And I'm thinking to myself, what the heck are you doing, Shermer?
Yeah.
You finally drive all the way down the field on an opening drive, and you could take a 7-0 lead, and you decide to go for 2.
Yeah.
What can you explain to me what the thinking was, please?
He did that because of the offsides penalty, which made it from 2 yards to 1 yard. Now, should we have done it? Absolutely not. We don't have Pat Mahomes and all those weapons. We're not the Rams. We're not the Saints. We're the Giants. Getting 1 yard is just as hard as getting 30 sometimes. So, but he's Mr. Analytics, and if you go to 1 yard, the percentages go up, so that he went for it. Now, Manning missed Red Ellison.
Yes, he did. I was going to bring that up.
But he never should have gone for it. Just take the damn point.
Right. I wanted 7-0, not 6-0.
Because psychologically, it gives the Eagles a little lift.
Correct. Have you ever seen
the Giants say, "Here we go again against Philly"?
Right. Right from the get-go. Have you seen a team you watch football every Sunday, right? You don't watch just the Giants.
Yep.
You watch Thursday night, you watch Monday night. I cannot remember. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I cannot remember one time where a team took an opening kickoff down the field, scored a touchdown, and they decide to go for two.
Yeah, and especially the Giants in Philly. Like, you know this isn't going to turn out right. It was so frustrating from then, and I just think, I know the analytics say one thing, but this is why you have to have a coach who has the feel of how the game's going. You have to coach from the gut, too. And, look, your quarterback is 10-21 against this team. The Giants have lost 17 of 21 before they lost this one to this team. You need every point you can get where it's easy. Take the point.
Yeah, buddy. That's what we're talking about. That's the frustrating part of Pat Shurmur, along with, did you notice, I think on every first down play except for one, on every first down, you were running the ball up the gut. Hello, Ben McAdoo.
Yeah, Ben McAdoo, right. You called it last week. Like, why are you doing this? I thought this offense was supposed to be different and more fun to watch. And
right.
Now you have a line that's actually starting to hold up a bit for your quarterback. And this is why I said, like, on that play, two things happened. One, it never should have been called. Second, Manning should have hit Ellison. But that's why you have Shurmur ahead of Manning on the whose fault is this that we lost list.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's almost as if, and many coaches are guilty of this, I think it's a disease that has spread throughout the NFL in the coaching ranks. There are 5 or 6 coaches that are not, they don't have the disease. Matt Nagy, by the way, with the Bears is one of them, that I think is a very open-minded, diverse play caller. There's 4 or 5 others, but the rest of these guys, and Pat Shurmur's in the group, it's almost as if first down, they have a rule book, their own personal coaching rule book, that you're not allowed to do much of anything on first down other than just run it and get it out of the way, and then we can start figuring out what we're going to do here in this series.
Yeah, right. 100% right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the feeling I get. I see a lot of these coaches that don't end up ever doing anything. They're just getting rid of first down. They run it up the gut. There's nothing creative there. They do it 95% of the freaking time. And then after first downs, okay, now let's hit the playbook. What is that?
Yeah, and you're basically just giving them. It's like in baseball when you take the first pitch for no reason. It's going to be and it's a strike every time. You're giving them a free down. I don't understand it.
It's just not wide open enough, his mentality with play calling. It's just not wide open enough.
Well, this is why he has to get rid of it. And I actually have hope for Shurmur still, and maybe I'm just stupid.
No, I actually have a little bit myself. There's a reason for that.
For him.
Yeah.
This team plays hard. Fennelly brought this up. They've been in every game. So when you're in, except for one, the first Eagle game, when you're in every game and you lose, that's a coaching problem. So the Giants are playing hard for this guy, but they're calling the wrong plays. This is why you have to give up the play calling to an offensive coordinator, and you can't do everything yourself.
Well,
you're a CEO, Pat Shurmur.
Yeah, that's right. And it might be a good idea for the defensive coordinator to give up the play calling as well, because that
terrible.
defense
He's
is
terrible.
horrible.
He has no pass rush, none. So what is the point in rushing 4 and dropping back everyone when you're not even that? You have Curtis Riley at safety. B.W. Webb's doing a nice job, but not the answer at corner.
Correct.
You have a weak secondary. Why? What are you doing? Why would you not put pressure on the quarterbacks? He blitzed, I think, 6 times and got 3 sacks last week.
I'm telling you, Jerry, I haven't seen a defense this bad. 2 names come to mind. Bill Sheridan, who was there for 1 year and he was fired. And the other name, Rod Rust.
I would even throw in Johnny Lynn, the guy who took over.
Oh, yeah.
After Fox left. Yeah, the scheme stinks. The players are not good. Wow. I mean, you talk about the draft next year. The Giants on defense, they need an edge rusher, a tackle, 2 linebackers, a safety, and a corner. And I'm not even exaggerating. You need like 6 guys before you can function.
And that's with or without them keeping Olivier Vernon.
So they need another guy.
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, but now even needing, we know they're lacking to some extent in personnel, although they haven't had that many injuries, so it is a little perplexing that the personnel is as bad as it is.
But once they got rid of Eli Apple, the season was over. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, look, getting rid of Damon Harrison.
Yeah, that hurt.
That definitely hurt because he was the best run stuffer. I have to say I'm a little surprised that other guys there in the middle are not doing a better job with stopping the run. I'm seeing opposing teams just picking up 7-8 yards every time they run the ball, man.
Yeah, Dalvin Tomlinson's been a disappointment at nose tackle. They really miss Harrison, and when the Giants started winning for those 2 games, that's when I said, oh, man, it'd be nice to have him back because at least they'd be stopping the run. But they're not stopping the run. They're not stopping the pass. Was it John McKay? Otherwise, they'd be in great shape.
You brought this up in the opening today, a 3rd and 18, and they throw a 1-2 yard pass to Gallman in the flat.
The play lost 2 yards.
I mean, what is that, man?
I mean, and that's when I lose my mind with Eli. Like you have to be smarter than that, Eli. You're 37.
Yes.
3rd and 18. Take the play. Take the sack. Take the penalty. Just why would you use a timeout in the second half that you're probably going to need? And it turned out that they did need it. They would have had another, 30 seconds to play with instead of being 22 seconds when they got the ball back at the end of the game, which the last play should have been a penalty anyway because they tripped OBJ. You can't do that, and they would have set up Rosas for a 60-yard field goal and would have been nice to see him tie. Anyway, but 3rd and 18, come on, man. You got to be better than that. You can't be that stupid.
Well, and at the same time, it's even more egregious because those Philadelphia DBs, between 3 of them, they had 2 games.
Oh, and he threw the 1 interception to the one guy he had to avoid in Malcolm Jenkins.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are like high school players.
Oh,
it was such a weird game. It shows you, it showed me that the Eagles can line up anyone and beat the Giants.
Yes.
The Giants are going to lose. They just don't know how. And they can wear white uniforms, green or black. They're going to beat the Giants every single time.
That's right. Next season, I'm telling you, when the schedule comes out in May, I'm just scratch them off. The 2 Philadelphia games, those are losses.
And Pat Shurmur has to start, and someone in the organization has to start taking the approach like Ohio State would or Michigan with that rivalry, where priority number 1 now, until things start to balance out, is you have to beat Philly. I don't care about anything. I don't care about Washington or Dallas. That is the most important game in the division because it always sets your season. When the Giants beat Philly, they always have success, no matter what year it is. They have to beat them. Whether it's the next quarterback, the next coach, this is priority number 1 now. I'm tired of this. 18 of 22 to the same team.
Unbelievable.
Like Brown Steelers.
Unbelievable.
That's terrible.
Just amazing. So agitating. It really is. Yep. It's GameFaceRadio, CBS Sports Radio. Jerry Foley and the Frattman here, dishing between 9 and 10 o'clock Eastern every Sunday morning. The Giants sit at 3-8. The Bears are in town at 8-3. It's got to be a little embarrassing. I have to say, if I was the head coach of the Giants and this was my rookie season, and another rookie head coach is coming into my stadium and they're favored, I'd be a little embarrassed.
You should be embarrassed. And a rookie head coach who's got a lot of imagination. I know he's got a younger quarterback to work with, and let's be honest, the Bears are more talented. They're very talented on defense.
Yes. But,
yeah, you should be. Like, at some point, Shermer's got to get this, woe is me kind of, he's got to lose this woe is me attitude. And I'm not saying he has that, but the press conferences just don't come off well now, especially when you keep losing and losing. And
yeah.
Last week they asked him about Barkley not getting the ball. He goes, well, he got 20 touches. Well, what does that mean, Pat? What's that mean? He's got 20 touches and he has 140 yards. He probably should get a few more touches than that.
Yeah.
Is 20 the limit or the benchmark? Come on, man.
No, the benchmark is 17 in the first half, 3 in the second half.
Yeah, so if you're going to, how stupid. And it's just that's the stubbornness of these coaches. And it's not just him, it's all of them. Guys, sometimes, Pat, any coach, it's your fault. And last Sunday, it falls on you, pal.
Yes, absolutely. And here's the Bears with that great defense and a very productive offense. I'm not looking forward to seeing how that Bears defense is going to perform today against the New York Giants. In fact, it was hilarious to me. I saw this piece in the New York Post this week, and the headline, Chad Wheeler is ready for Khalil Mack. Oh, yeah? He's ready for him? What does that mean?
He must have done a lot of praying this week.
Oh, so in that regard, he's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Terrible.
He's ready. Chad Wheeler is ready for Khalil Mack. Wow. I can't wait to see how ready he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, Jerry, correct. Listen, I think you are actually more adept at actually watching X's and O's than I am. Can you explain to me why it is that Eli Manning looks so good on rollouts and throwing the ball on rollouts, and the Giants have had success doing that this season, and Shermer puts it on the shelf for 3 games at a time?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know if he's afraid of the faster defensive ends who can get out, if you can't disguise it well enough. But I have no idea. Manning does throw on the run well, and we get away from it. But why do we get you could ask, why do you get away from Barkley in the second half? So I don't know if he sees something, any differences with these teams, but my guess would be with Bennett and Long on the outside on a lot of pass plays, he'd be afraid of Manning just getting hit and sacked on the play.
Okay.
Guessing, though. I have no idea.
Yeah. All right.
So
has anybody ever asked him about any of that?
No. So maybe it's something we could bring up, but no, I don't think so. I think there's so many other questions that we haven't gotten to.
Yeah, well, he might have to roll out today just to get away from that Bears rush.
I would just hand the ball off 60 times today to just use different running backs. Don't just give it all to Barkley.
Exactly. Good point.
You have not only Mack, but you have Leonard Floyd, who the Giants wanted years ago, and Roquan Smith, the rookie, who looks like a stud.
Yeah, he does. Who wins this game today?
The Bears, 31-10.
31-10.
This will be the first game where it gets out of hand early, where the Giants, I think, not quit, but they come off the rails today.
27-14 Bears.
All right.
Bears. And with that, let's see what John Fennelly has to say and the Fennelly fracas.
The New York Giants are 3-8 this year. They host the 8-3 Chicago Bears at MetLife Stadium this Sunday. It's a clear tale of 2 teams going in opposite directions. The Bears are a team that drafted wisely the last 5 years. The Giants are not. The Bears are a team that made bold moves, trades, bringing in Khalil Mack, drafting Mitchell Trubisky. The Giants did very little. Also, the Bears hired a very aggressive young head coach who knows how to win ball games and step on the neck of opponents. The Giants did not. The Giants accept losing too often and too easily now. This is getting to be a real pattern that Giant fans are picking up on. They're going to disguise themselves as empty seats as the year goes on. This is a pattern that's all too disturbing for Giant fans, and they hope it doesn't become the norm under Dave Gettleman and Pat Shermer. This is John Fenley, and this has been the Fenley Fracas.
On GameFaceRadio and CBS Sports Radio.
Target is here to help you discover all the ways to get your holidays done. Like order pickup. Just order ahead and have it waiting for you at the store. Try Drive Up in the Target app, and we'll bring it right out to your car as soon as you arrive. And now, we'll bring the holidays home to you with same-day delivery shopped by Shipped. Whether it's a TV, hot cocoa mix, or ornaments for the tree, Target makes it easy to get what you need when you need it. Target run and done. Learn more at target.com/ways to shop. Restrictions may apply.
When was the last time you stepped onto an NFL field during a game?
Ready?
We haven't either.
But we like to pretend we did. Duh. Winning.
GameFaceRadio, CBS Sports Radio, 940 WINE. GameFaceRadio and the Stones. Got tickets, baby. Got tickets. Going on a U.S. tour starting in April. These guys are amazing, man. And when I hear the geriatric jokes, I have to laugh. Because let me tell you what, they will put anybody to shame. Take a band filled with 20-year-olds, and the Stones will put them to dust. They will have way more energy than the 20-year-olds.
Nice.
How about that?
Hey, one of the things Fennelly said real quick,
Yeah.
I loved it, and he's right. Losing is now the norm. And it's being accepted, I think. Like, that's what I said about before with the Sherman press conference. There's not enough anger coming out of MetLife. I'm sorry, but, like, these people pay more money for their tickets and PSLs than anyone in the country. And the product you're giving us is awful.
Yeah.
It's terrible. 5 or 6 years of being a joke, and it's becoming the norm now. And I hate it.
Yeah.
He's right.
He is right. There's that word culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote into the Insider that Kyle wrote and Jim Cavett should be in the Ring of Honor. I said, you know what? He probably will be. You know why? Because when teams start to stink, they hide behind tradition, that word.
Yeah.
And they'll do things like that. And the New York Rangers did it last year. They put a guy up in the rafters that should have been there years ago. And you do that when you stink because you try to distract the fans from the current product. I believe that. And I said, yeah, they'll probably be in there. There'll be more guys in the Ring of Honor over the next 5 years than there's ever been, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jerry. Keep an eye on that for sure.
Yep.
Something we'll be talking about here as we continue to talk G-Men even after the season is over. You can tune into this show on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock Eastern, even during the offseason. Briefly, before we do in-your-face matchups, obviously everybody's heard about the Kareem Hunt situation. What a freaking bonehead, man.
What a jerk.
And you gotta know that anytime you're involved in something or potentially involved in something, somebody is filming it somewhere.
But what made him, and I'll even say this, when I saw it, I thought, was he pushed into her? I don't know. But what made him first push her and then kick her afterwards? You're a scumbag, Kareem Hunt. As a father of 3 girls, you're a piece of garbage.
That's right. And I have to say, though, that video also depicts how some women can act in certain
100%.
situations. They're not innocent here either. And a lot of them put themselves into very dangerous situations, man.
Right, and why are you going at him and pushing him? It was a bad situation, but I think the worst part of that whole video was that kick at the end where whatever happened, and it was terrible what happened.
Yeah.
But he went back into that. It's like, wow, man, you should never play football again.
He should have walked away and called the police.
Yeah, if someone's hitting you like that, you can't win. Just walk away.
Walk away. And if he had done that one simple thing,
know about it,
he would still be a member of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay with in fact, he'd probably be looked at as well. Look at Michael Vick at how he handled the issues.
And the Chiefs, I'm going to put a number on it. The Chiefs' chances now of getting to the Super Bowl minus Kareem Hunt decreased by about 40%.
So here's another thing. But I don't understand how the Chiefs didn't know about it. But anyway, knew about it.
Good point. All right, time for in-your-face matchups. We have 3 of them today for you, as we usually do. Here's another example of a game that should be in prime time, but it's not. You'll get division games in prime time instead. Minnesota at New England today. That is a 4:25 kickoff. You got to go with the Patriots on that one.
Because they're home. They'll win by a touchdown or so.
Yeah. The Chargers will be visiting the Steelers. I'm going with the Chargers. I cannot believe how good the Chargers look for a team that's been in disarray as far as where they're located. That is tonight's game, an 8:20 kickoff.
I hope you're right, but I'm going to go with the Steelers. But I'm rooting for the Chargers. Just the Steelers at home after last week losing. I'm going to go with the Steelers at home.
And then the Monday nighter, the NFC East, Washington will be at Philadelphia.
Philly by 20. Because it's my life, and Colt McCoy stinks.
I mean, there aren't many teams out there that are in a position to lose their starter and then have a great, awesome backup waiting in the wings. The Saints, I think, are one of the few.
Yeah, it's a rarity now. Or Baltimore, even, who seems to be doing okay with Jackson, but if he keeps running like he is, he's going to get killed.
Because he's not a big frame guy.
No, he's not.
He's not a big boy like Cam Newton is.
And I like Lamar Jackson coming out of college, but he's running too much now.
Yeah, I think the Ravens need to be very careful about how they manage all of that.
Yeah.
For sure. And then, of course, you have Alex Tanney as a backup. No.
Oh, of course. I mean, he's like he's what Earl Morrill, backing up Bob Greasy. Sure.
GameFaceRadio.
The similarities are so. Anyway.
All right, let's wrap it up. Jerry Foley, thank you for joining us.
Bye, buddy.
We'll talk to you next Sunday. It's GameFaceRadio, CBS Sports Radio. Yeah, buddy.
We are your home.